Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network from magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Good morning. Good morning. It's morning somewhere. It feels like morning for me. Oh my gosh. I am sorry to start off that way. Probably because, I'm still full of turkey from last week. Hi, everyone. My name is Robert W. Jones, and with the Art of Connection, I'm also the iNetrepreneur founder, and this is the iNetrepreneur Radio Show, and I'm glad you're here with us today. We usually are here from 2:30 to 3:30 each week. That's Arizona time. Back behind me, you can see the first book, The Art of Connection. That's what started it all, 365 Days of Networking Quotes. It was an international bestseller, #1 in each of those categories. That's how we have the gold badge on the cover. Let's go through a little bit of what's coming up here in the near future. I'm proud to announce that you can go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net. You can find our academy classes, our pop-up events. We also have our summits and the industry's first iNet Connect panel interviews, both live and through our virtual formats. I also want to mention that you can go to get more information about our upcoming book, 365 Days of Transformational Quotes, at 365daysoftransformationalquotes.com. I try to make the URL real easy so you can find it. And so we're really excited. We are shooting for the end of December. If Amazon agrees with us, if not, there's a little bit of a hang-up. It'll be about the first or second week of January, but we're so excited about getting this book launched for everyone. The first two books have been worldwide. We're also creating a whole new application for our authors to have even more of a streamlined process of getting their submission in. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also proud to talk about that on Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. So what is that? 2023. I don't know, something like that. It sounded good. We're going to have our Art of Connection Summit. It's an entrepreneurial event for founders, business owners, speakers, all of our authors, both current and former. You're always free to attend this event, and other influencers. You can go to Art of Connection Summit. That's artofconnectionsummit.com to get more information about that. We are currently accepting speaker applications for anyone who wants to have a solo spot or be on one of our panels. Also, you can like us at Facebook. It's facebook.com/iNetrepreneur Radio. Like I said, if anything has iNetrepreneur in it, I recommend that you just bookmark it, because even I have trouble spelling that word. But you know what? You do it once, you can remember it, and that's what bookmarks are for. Also, I want to make sure that you know that we have a couple of magazine publications. You can get them print on demand or get the digital version of them. One of them is our iNetrepreneur Network magazine, and the other one is our Contemporary Woman magazine. So I'm glad everyone is here today, and I am so excited about getting my first guest on the show. My first guest is going to be Abigail. Hello, Abigail. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am doing fine. This time of year when you're in sunny Phoenix, Arizona, I cannot complain. When the evenings are in the 50s and the highs are the 70s or the low 80s, no complaints here. I will tell you that.
Right. I'm on the East Coast. I'm not on the East Coast anymore, but in East Tennessee, and I get to see the beautiful changing of the leaves and the way the clouds now take over the mountains off my front porch. So it's a great time of the year.
Yeah, in Tennessee, and it's funny that you bring up Tennessee, because for so many of us, we have these preconceptions of what Tennessee is like, or what Kentucky's like, or let's say West Virginia, Ohio. And quite frankly, I have seen Tennessee change radically in the last 20 years or so, from being really, maybe a state where you could say, they weren't as business forward as some of the other states. But, quite frankly, in the last 20 years, that's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, our governor is very small business friendly. And of course, not having and income tax in the state has helped some of the mobility into the state. And it's interesting because everybody thinks of either Memphis or Nashville, and I'm outside of Knoxville. So I'm an hour and 15 minutes outside of Knoxville in the Smokies. And it's just a very different life. For a home-based entrepreneur, it's great. So
Oh, and it's a beautiful area, and that's one of the things. I've been to Tennessee several times. I love the people there, and I always like to say, if you want people who work well, and do good work, it's going to be those who have traveled to Tennessee, because I think there's a certain work ethic that you have there that you may not have in other areas.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of farming in this area, and I will tell you, I have never seen people work as hard as a farmer, because they are working 24/7, 7 days a week. The cows still need, everything cows need. The hay still needs everything hay needs to bring good food and good crops to our society. So
Absolutely. Everyone, I am with Abigail Tiefenthaler. I love that name because it's not like Jones, right? Of
Yeah.
Savvy Sales Strategy. She is a launch and leverage specialist. She also helps businesses change radically through transformation. She helps radically transform businesses through her sales strategy of Savvy Sales Strategy. One of the things, I want to talk about that I like to start off every show with, Abigail, is just, tell me a little bit of, I want you to dote on yourself just a little bit. I want you to pat yourself on the back, because, many times as entrepreneurs, we're always creating accomplishments for others, but we don't necessarily speak about our own accomplishments and benchmarks, and I want you to, just talk about some of your success that you've had in your business career and share it with our audience today.
Thank you. Yes. I was thrown into entrepreneurship 26 years ago, to almost 27 now. And I would say probably one of the greatest accomplishments was I achieved a 7-figure business in 2 years, and ended up working with a lot of people, a lot of businesses that, other companies had tried to work with, and I was able to successfully get their business. So what I didn't know at the time was to be in the have a business that was over $500,000 put you in the top 5% of the industry. And a lot of our firsts and our accolades we have to see in the rearview mirror, right? Because we're just moving forward to make them happen. We're not moving forward for accolades. We're moving forward to put food on tables and pay mortgages and build something. So that truly is something special. I created a cube that was a promotional product success as a part of, thinking strategically and solving problems, which is how I approach consulting with my clients today, and how I've always approached my career. What can I do to solve a problem?
And you do a great job of that. I've gotten to interview. I've been blessed enough to interview you on a panel. I've seen you speak before. I hear people that talk about you, that rave about you, and one of the things that, a person I love to listen to, believe it or not, is Warren Buffett, and one of the things that I love that Warren Buffett says, he says, the best companies in the world usually aren't the most innovative. The best companies in the world are the ones that can create great customer experience. I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I agree. And I actually think the customer experience, while very different than the prospect experience, it starts with the prospect experience. And so I was on one of your summits, and we talked about the prospect path, right? We talked about what does it take to really help a prospect or a future client or future customer go from, I don't even know who you are, to I want to work with you no matter what it is you offer. I don't eat hot dogs, but I'm going to eat hot dogs because I want to work with you. Right.
Yeah.
To me, the customer experience is everything. And I think it was on the most recent summit that we all did together, where we were talking about the fact that so many basic principles in the soft skills have just gone away, and, to go above and beyond. I mean, here's the thing. Clients value access more than they value content.
Yeah.
So you have to have an experience as a part of that access.
And I think sometimes in the customer experience, clients buy you,
Yes.
and if they, and that certainly is a part of having that access, having that road to that experience. And what happens is, when I was in retail, you lose clients who you never knew. And what I mean by that is they don't put a little thing in a Dropbox that says, what, I had a bad experience at the Chanel boutique, I'm never going to come back. you
Right.
know Tell me about that, because you also speak to that at times, is like, those are the clients that we need to take care of. Those are the clients that, we need to hear their voice. And quite frankly, we will create a better experience if we learn from them, won't we?
Yes, and again spend a lot of time working with our clients, because all of our client relationships are one-on-one. We don't do any group programs at this moment. And I will say, this is a collaboration. This is a partnership. I can't give you my best if you're not willing to give me your best. And that means that we are going to get messy from time to time. And I think having that vulnerability and stating what to some of us is the obvious, but everybody thinks we are perfect. When somebody comes in and we're humans, number one. Number two, I'm in the marketing space, right? So I am in the research, the doesn't work, the frustration, the probably the single biggest overwhelming part of any business owner's business journey.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to look each other in the eye and go, you know what, we're doing everything we can. We are working. We're going to keep working it. And that's one of the things our clients have said about us. When something doesn't work the way we thought it was, you know what? All right, we need to shift and do something different. And we've had clients say to us, thank you for sticking with us.
Mhm.
I've bought things in the past, right? Before Tami and I decided to partner together, I remember buying Facebook ads and buying coaching services. And at the end of the time, they were like, well, I'm sorry, we didn't get the result that we were supposed to get. And I was
Right.
like, that's it? That's it? Well, okay. So
Mhm.
we built our business around that communication, that feedback, that let's work together.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because, when it comes to Google, when it comes to Facebook, when it comes to Pinterest, when it comes to Instagram, when it comes to LinkedIn, quite frankly, when it comes to peer-to-peer relationships,
Right.
there has to be a substantial amount of consistency over a period of time, which is frequency, that creates engagement that clients want. And
Right.
one of the things that I see is they misinterpret feelings from facts,
Right.
you know and really the feelings are, yeah, it kind of hurts initially when you feel like you're not getting the traction and the return on that investment initially. But the facts state this: it takes 7 to 49 impressions, in whatever particular marketing channel that you have, before you're going to get any return. Isn't that correct?
And it could take even more if you're on the wrong channel.
Yeah.
So
And if
if
yes, yes.
a long time ago, I have a 27-year-old daughter who played a lot of sports in school. And, we learned about the 10,000 hour rule, right? Well, here's the
Hmm.
thing. She was a setter on the volleyball team. So
Right.
if she was learning how to set incorrectly, those 10,000 hours at the end of the day were going to be useless.
Yeah.
And that's part of it is that we have to understand, especially again in that business building, client getting, marketing space, that what worked last month
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily work today. And what worked for your friend who also does the same thing you did does not necessarily work for you. And so to me, I think the expectation is that we are going to enter a journey together, not we are going to end up with X, Y, or Z. And it's an expectation issue as much as they hear one thing. A lot of times a prospect will hear one thing, and it's one of the reasons why that sales conversation is so valuable,
Hmm.
is to reinforce. Now, wait a minute. I want to make sure we're both on the same page, right? To use that
Yep.
language. A lot of people don't do that because all they are is about selling.
Yeah. Mhm.
right? So they don't, they're afraid that if they put an objection into that sales conversation, somebody's going to say, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or no, but somebody's promising this over here. And I always say, if somebody is promising you that, go take it.
Yeah. You know,
So
and here's something else that you and I both understand, I believe, is, you know, you know, everyone talks about quantum leaps, and I hear that a lot, and it really makes me nauseous because, really a quantum leap is really a sum total of micro movements that a business owner creates with their coach to create the actual movement that gets them to success. Is that not true?
absolutely. I mean, I've told people before, not that I know this to be 100% fact, but I can only believe it happens 99% of the time. Tony Robbins probably spoke to rooms with 3 people in them.
Yep.
And yes, he's an overnight success after 15 years worth
Yep.
of whatever, right? It's the guitarist who all of a sudden makes it big on some breakout album, but he has been playing dives and honky tonks since school graduations for 20 years. We
Yeah.
forget, and I'm as guilty of it as anybody. I'm sure you are too. I mean, we look at somebody's success and go, I want that. And
Hmm.
we believe that we can get there, but we forget all of the history it took that person to reach that.
Well, and it's so interesting, and kids sometimes they kind of throw that in your face too. I still have kids that are 10 and 14, or 14, yeah, 10, 14, and 16 years old. And it's just like, my son comes across and he looks at me and goes, Dad, when are you going to be successful? It's like,
Oh,
from the mouth of babes, and I tell him, I'm like, Troy, or Aiden, or even Ashlyn, the 3 that are still in the home, I say, let's sit down and let's define what you're looking at success looks like.
yes.
Some of the success that you may think that you see, yeah, it may or may not exist in the way that you want to. Is there money for college that's going somewhere and it's not going to in the newest BMW? Is there money going to a certain amount of retirement that I'm not to put it into the biggest home? Is there so much money that's going back to the training of the people who are replacing me as my company grows? See, these are factors sometimes in this instantaneous gratification. All of a sudden we should be on the Learjet for our kids. I think sometimes we have a false sense of what success looks like as an entrepreneur, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, my husband and I tried very, very hard to never let the money we made go to their heads. Instead, we let it go to their experience, and
Yeah.
everything came at a price. I mean, I ran a 7-figure business out of my house. I was PTA president at the same time. My kids were playing sports. They were young at the time. And, this was it. I didn't make it to the Thanksgiving preschool, little a feast that they had because I was doing something else. But this is where my husband was able to do it. So again, we look at, and the good news is this, for anybody who is listening to this who has younger children, your children remember the things for the most part that you were there and not the ones you missed. And I
Yeah.
mean, because my girls are 27 and 30, and they don't for a moment think that they lacked in terms of having parents present to support who they were. And as a result, they're both very productive, you know, living on their own, not borrowing money from mom and dad, covering their expenses and
Hmm.
traveling. So,
Yeah.
we have to look at what it is. And parenting is a lot like having a business where we are always trying to do better, right? So when I ran my 6-figure business, the goal was to get to 7-figure. When I ran my 7-figure, was to get to multiple 7 figures. It was to figure out how to run my business more streamlined, what type of employees did I need. I mean, I was lucky. At one point, my mom and dad worked for me, and they were my favorite employees because they knew they were there to help support building something that everybody benefited from.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it really reminds me, that this incredible constant of change, and one of the biggest changes that you and I both probably can reflect on in the past 2 or 3 years is the Great Resignation. And,
Right.
I don't think in our nation's history have we seen so many people be, I like to say there was a certain amount of greatness, like Shakespeare says, that was thrust upon us who were in our 40s and 50s. And we actually had to examine ourselves and say, is this really the life I want to lead? And is this really the place I want to work? And is this
Right.
really the situation that I want to have? And I think a lot of the great, resignation, has led to profound changes in the way that we look at our families, the way that we look at our friends, the way that we conduct business, the way our buying habits are, the way we want to be marketed to. Tell me a little bit about your insight into the Great Resignation and how do you help businesses negotiate this?
Well, I've heard the statistic that there's been 15 million people who have gone and created entrepreneurial opportunities for themselves over the last couple of years. And again, I'm a recovered corporate person, so I understand how difficult that transition can be. And I want everybody to go after their dream. To me, one of the reasons why I've been involved in networking for so many years, primarily women networking,
Mm-hmm.
is because I don't want anybody to ever turn around and go, I can't do this. I want them to see that a normal person can become successful with the work and the persistence, the consistency, and the
Mm-hmm.
creativity and the support and the resources. So in terms of what's going on, I think it truly is a reflection that the old business models aren't working. The
Yeah.
old corporate business model isn't working. So now the question is these 15 million people, the dire statistic in the coaching world, which I know the most about, is that 90% of them are going to fail. 12% of them might get to six figures. So now the question is where do they get support? Where do they get good help? Right? To be able to say, you know what? I don't want to go back to a W-2 job.
Yeah.
And the other side of that, and just for a quick second, because I know we're near time, is some people, the W-2 is the perfect place for them. They need to give themselves permission to say, I am not that entrepreneurial person, because it's hard. It truly is hard.
And I want to start ending with a segment of this because I would be very lax if I didn't go at this. I, I, you know, businesses fail more often than not because they lack the planning and the strategy to succeed. You are a launch and leverage strategy specialist. And tell us why you matter so much to the business clients that you have.
Because because number one, I've been there. I grew
Mhm.
something from nothing and I was forced into it. I didn't have the luxury of, running a dual corporate job and starting a
Yeah.
business on a side hustle at the same time. Number one. Number two, marketing is truly the make or break part of your business. And the unfortunate thing about what's going on right now is that there are so many people telling you that you need or must or should or have to do certain things that it's confusion and it's
Mhm.
bright shiny object and it's cul-de-sacs, paths to nowhere. And so what makes me a little different is that I'm looking at that 30,000-foot view. I am actually working with you to give you the relief to say one offer, one message, one
Mhm.
audience, one simple path. And then we can go bright, shiny object all day long and glitter it
Yeah.
up. But if
Yeah.
we don't have that foundational and in place, I'm doing a workshop that's called The Marketing You Need Before You Start Marketing. And the reason why I'm doing that is because there are so many foundational elements that are missing in most people's marketing. We go right from idea to selling and we skip the strategy part. We go right from idea to tactic. And that's where I think if I can help change that process a little bit, I will have helped a lot of business owners.
You're giving me goosebumps on that because I am so, oh my gosh, I always, I say there's three fundamental elements, to create an awareness. One, you need to know your mission, you need to craft your message, and then you need to look at the methods that get that message out there. And
Yes.
so much the time we invert this, and we're sold the shiny objects of our methods, right?
Yeah.
If our message and our mission isn't aligned, it's not straight, it's not clear, whatever words you want to put in there, guess what? You're
Yeah.
just like with me, an old programming hack, garbage in, garbage comes back to you, doesn't it?
Yep. It's ready, fire, aim instead of ready, aim, fire. And it's unfortunately, when you hear the language with this one thing will change, all you need is, I mean, it's great marketing
All he
language.
needs a checkbook and I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Right? You've heard that too.
It doesn't work, and you can't sometimes just throw money at it, because a bad message is a bad message.
Yeah, you just amplify the message that's bad. It's like, okay, can it get any worse? Well, yes, Virginia, yes. It can get worse.
Yes, I remember being pregnant with my first daughter and gaining all this weight and not being able to see my feet, and going to the doctor and go, I know I didn't gain any weight, and there it was on the scale, another 8 pounds. And I was like, what? So it's true. We can, we can stop that madness and simplify the madness and really show up as the business owner we want to show up with. You just need the right support to make that happen.
I couldn't agree, anymore. Abigail, that's why I say I'm like your raving fan here. I'm right here out in Arizona. You speak the truth. I mean, I really just, like my goal is just, as I come through, is just to get you in front of more people, because, one of the things that I love about business owners who have been in the trenches for a while is we have something that those who are much, much, much younger don't have. That is perspective. And I think perspective is so immensely valuable, especially in the times of flux, because
because the strategies are where we all go back to, right? So I remember hearing this years ago, and I just think it's absolutely brilliant. When you are dealing with times of uncertainty, and I believe we are going to be uncertain probably for the rest of my life, at least, right?
Yes.
It just seems to be so tumultuous right now. Go back to what doesn't change, because there's always some part that doesn't change. It's one of the reasons why I love strategy, is it doesn't change. The fundamentals of strategy, the process of strategy building, and then developing that tactic, right? It doesn't change. So that's,
And this is what I tell people when they say, well, how do you know it doesn't change? And I say this, technology will, can move at the speed of light, but our relationships don't.
Exactly.
Our relationships still take time, they still take nurturing, and they still take clarity. Abigail, thank you so much for being on the show. I wanted to make sure I have your information going across the screen here. Tell me if there's any other ways that people can get a hold of you.
I am on LinkedIn and Facebook primarily. I do have an Instagram account, but don't try to reach me there. And actually, if you go to either of those, I think my phone number is there. So please feel free to reach out. It's right here. I honestly will take your call.
Go figure. I mean, actually, right. Old school. I mean, I tell you what, my dad used to say, old school doesn't make old fools. So at any rate, they don't stay around, if they didn't have something to offer. And I really appreciated that advice from my dad at one time. Abigail, again, I'm here with Abigail Tiefenthaler. She's with Savvy Sales Strategy. She's been a speaker on our stages at the Art of Connection Summit. I believe I'd love to get you at one of our women's event. If you're looking for someone who understands business and how it moves, Abigail is the person for you. Abigail, thank you so much for being on our show today. I appreciate you, and tell Knoxville that I love you, because what a great area to live in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Abigail, for being on the show today. I put it in the chat, everyone. I am fully transparent. I love Abigail. And I put it in the chat and I'm like, Abigail, I love you. You are the best. You speak the truth. I mean, and then a lot of people don't know my background. I've worked for GoDaddy, Intuit, Lensco Private Ledger, Realtor.com, eFood Safety, Nuvalex. I was a marketing technology hack for many, many years. But I wanted to get out of the corporate world myself because I felt like there was a ceiling that I could never get past. I just never felt like, a person who comes up through the technology fields could ever be, the CEO, the big kahuna, the decision maker, but, I'm blessed with my background and I'm blessed that I have my own company and I get to have conversations with people such as Abigail, who lives in Knoxville, Tennessee. I mean, it can't get any better than that. Well, I am really excited also for one of my good friends who I've known for quite a bit of time, and I'm going to bring her onto the show right now. Joanne, Reverend Joanne Angel BarryColon, you are on the show with us today. I'm excited to have you. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate being here and looking forward to see what shows up.
Well, well, for me, what shows up is you. And so I am so excited that you're on our show today. And what's really great about the show today is we're really looking at a couple of different aspects. When I'm looking at the entrepreneurial business community, framework, we're looking at, Abigail, who's very brass tacks, very facts, very functional, very process oriented, and then when working with you, for the entrepreneur, we can come into a whole different realm of being able to see and manifest and use intuition and be able to guide ourselves and understand emotion, and that really can work collectively with the facts and the functions and the tasks and the tactics, can it, Joanne?
Oh, I believe so.
you know
I
so
definitely.
everyone, I am here with Reverend Joanne Angel BarryColon. She's owner of Wholistic Fitness. She's a certified holistic personal trainer. See, I'm gonna do that right there. Holistic.
Yes.
Intuitive healer and cosmic energy reader, which it's almost like I have no idea what all that means, but I know it matters. So thank you for being here on the show today with me.
My pleasure. Would you like me to explain what it means in
you
like a
know
one line sentence?
You know what? Let's do that. I would love to know that because I know you've been in the healing arts industry for about 35 years, and that type of sustainability means you must know maybe one or two things, right?
Maybe they say I do. They say that I have a bit of wisdom, considering I'm in the industry for as long as I am. But in regards to my title, my very long title, what it just means as a holistic personal trainer, intuitive healer, and cosmic energy reader means that I blend the physical and the mystical world together when I work with clients. So it's not just about working with a client on their physical body in regards to specific goals that the average person goes to a personal trainer for. In fact, even very recently, I feel as though I'm going up against the fitness industry, the entire fitness industry, because there's so much information being put out there in regards to approaching one's fitness goals based on, as I like to call it, the 3D, the superficial um, level for that matter. And I feel as though I'm going against the entire industry in regards to encouraging clients to really unlearn everything they know about health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness and incorporate a new way of doing health, fitness, and wellness in regards to a higher consciousness, in recognizing that what we've been or what I've learned over the last 35 years in this industry, being in the mystical aspects of it, doesn't really hold true anymore. It's not really about, well, let's go and lift weights for the sole purpose of losing weight, you
Hmm.
know, and it's also about how, and I know you work out, So my question to you is, when you're working out, like, how you're stressing your body, because I know when I work out, or how I used to work out in the past and how I work out now, it's no longer about I need to stress my body to get to the results I'm looking to get to. I work out now, and I teach this to my clients, is to embody your body when you work out. Like, have a reason to why you are actually doing whatever that workout is, not on a superficial level, not to the point where we want to see the scale go down. Because in reality, when we work out, the scale shouldn't go down, because when we work out, we're building up more muscle tissue. Muscle happens to be slightly heavier than no muscle. So it really is my job, my mission, what I was put on this earth to do, is to really teach people to unlearn everything they've been taught, everything they believe about health, fitness, and nutrition, and start creating a new way of thinking, the way I like to call it, and the way many spiritual entrepreneurs call it, is tapping into your higher consciousness and seeing things from a different point of view. After all, we are all spiritual beings. And because we are all spiritual beings, each and every day, just like Abigail said, we are changing. So how we used to do business in the past may no longer work for doing business today. And because of that, it's the same concept when we think about health, fitness, and nutrition. What we used to do 50 years ago, being that we are at a higher vibration now, may not necessarily be getting us to the results we're looking to get, because we're not in that same vibration anymore. Now, I know that I said I would explain this in one line, but I went a little overboard.
Yeah, it was one line after another line. But
Yeah.
and you asked me a question, and I'll answer it, because one thing about why do I believe in being healthy? Because I believe it adds to wealthiness and wellness. And if my body is operating at the optimal in any given point of time, that means the time that I give to those that I serve is that much better.
Yes.
And if I'm concentrating on my own pain, if I'm concentrating on self-defeating thoughts of I'm not enough, or I'm too fat, or I don't look good, or what would I think, because I'm afraid to be in front of the camera or be on stage. I mean, these are all things that if you're just concentrating on your physical self and you don't like what your worth is, it can cause you to put brakes on your own success, can it?
Exactly. It can literally block you from transforming and stepping into opportunities, because you're either afraid of the camera, or you're thinking that someone is looking at you and saying or thinking that, well, why is that person on the camera? They're too fat. They're not educated enough. This is all the old mindset, and things that we do really have to learn to unlearn. So we can recognize that we are all in a different vibration than we were even yesterday, and recognize that vibration is taking us to where we need to go, and to utilize our higher consciousness to recognizing that we all have very unique gifts. Every one of us. In fact, I was just saying this on one of my lives today, that we all have a unique gift, and there's not any one person that has the same gift as somebody else. And for me, as the holistic personal trainer, I feel that that's one of my major gifts, that, being that holistic. I mean, I don't think there's any other personal trainers out there that qualify themselves as a holistic with a W personal trainer, where it's really about bringing the two together.
Well, and that's where I kind of want to start a little bit of our journey today. I have found through the books, and so what I did is, back, when I was, working on my master's, in statistics, one of the things, there's different types of analysis, and one of them is called a meta-analysis, and that's when you aggregate different forms of, statistical findings. And, what I found is, people were learning by writing the pages in the book that the first thing that they need to do is they need to become self-aware. They cannot start to proceed in any direction with any, let's say, measure of success if they don't start with being aware of what is around them, and once that they're aware, and I think that's what you do, is you help people become aware of things, but you also do the second thing, which comes after that awareness, and that is assessment, a self-assessment, to understand, one, to be aware of where they're at right now, and two, to look at an assessment to see where their needs are, and that's how you help people, Joanne, is I believe that, you have a unique ability to assess people, to see who they are, where they're at, and find the places that they need to grow the most, and then also fortify the places where they have some strength in. Tell us a little bit about your unique way of assessing clients.
Oh, yes. And I'm so glad you asked that, because it lights me up, as you can see.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, to start off with, my unique way is through my deck that I created. And each card, there's 45 cards in this deck, and each card has 3 elements. The elements are a color, which is associated with the chakra system, a number that's associated with one's personal numerology, and one's energy related to astrology. And then there's an affirmation that is used to either A, raise their vibration, or B, add to the story of what's going on with them each and every day. So when the client comes in, initially for their introduction, shall we call it, I have them, now most of my sessions now are virtual, so then I actually am pulling the cards for them, and I pull anywhere between 6 to 9 cards. And with those 6 to 9 cards, it gives me information about them to specific chakras that may need attention in regards to, for example, and I'll just pull the back one out, and commonly, if the yellow card shows up, which is associated with solar plex, and perfectly aligned with what we were just talking about before in regards to feeling confident enough or secure enough or brave enough to want to show up. So if this particular card, this color, shows up throughout the 6 to 9 cards, it gives me an indication that that person may have, I'm going to use the word issues, in regards to feeling confident, feeling secure, feeling safe, feeling abundant, and focus on a lot of limitations. And those limitations, especially when we talk about solar plex, it's in the gut. And
Yeah.
that may block one's gut intuition of knowing what to do, what not to do, because they're not listening, they're not embodying their intuition to know whether or not this is the right thing for them to do. In addition to, it gives me insight to what's going on in their astrology chart at that particular time. So, for example, if I gave that person, well, we'll use you for an example. If I had you pull 6 to 9 cards today, and then we go back, let's say, a week later and pull 6 to 9 cards again, the chances of the same 6 to 9 cards are going to be very slim. I mean, you may very well get one card that might pop up again. And if it should, that's an indication that that really needs our attention to work on. And then I look at their astrology chart based on the current energy to then define for them what is actually going on regarding their results. Because there's a handful of planets, zodiac signs, and houses that are actually associated with one's physical weight, health, organs, and their body. So now if those specific, if that shows up in their reading, it gives me more information for what that person needs to focus on during that time we're together. And ideally, again, being in the industry for 35 plus years, I've used the general health fitness forms in the past and had my clients fill them out and went through the general normal questions. But when doing the card reading, it allows me to go deeper than just the general questions, because I can find out from a card reading whether or not my client suffers with high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol issues. I can find all that out. But it's so much more fun to find it out through a card reading than to have them just check it off on the questionnaire.
Well, and it's what's really interesting is having the ability to do this not just in person, because quite a bit of your clientele is remote, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, I would say about a good 70 to 80% of my clients now are remote.
And has COVID has it been a part of this effect where you've been able to pick up more remote clients? Is this a recent trend, or is this something that's always been kind of embraced over time?
I would say a little bit of both. And the story behind that, prior to COVID, I was already working with a handful of clients virtually, where some clients who didn't live so far away, but lived a distance away, where they had the ability to come to me, or they had the ability to work with me virtually, which was very convenient. So, for example, we get a snow day. Not very many people are going to want to come out of their house to go do their workout. So I
Right.
eliminate the excuse by telling them we don't have to work out face to face. We could do this virtually. We could do Reiki virtually, as you know. And being that we had that opportunity, that flexibility, it also decreased one's ability to canceling their session, because now it's like I can work with you virtually, or you can come on site where I am, and we can work that way. And then, of course, with COVID happening, it enhanced my ability of working with a larger population of people, because primarily I was just really working with people in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And since COVID, it had expanded my ability, because I got to reach out to many people. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, that's how you and I met, through COVID. So it's the relationships and the partnerships that I establish with the help of COVID, where now my business is expanding, where it's no longer just local and just my community. I'm reaching people all over. And
Yeah.
interesting enough, it's actually one of my long-term dreams, where I always, in the past, I've always said, I have so much to share, but how is it that I will be able to reach so many people? Because there's only one of me. I won't be able to travel everywhere and anywhere. And I think the universe heard me, because here it is. Now I get to work with as many people as I want.
Well, and I've seen some changes. I mean, you've had a physical location for your business for many, many years, and I think, there's been a transition in your business over the last 3 months and now you really are starting to take a very strong stakehold into having much of your business, if not eventually all of your business, be remote based. Isn't that correct?
That is very, very true. And with something like that, I sit back and I ask myself every day, I'm like, okay, is this my doing, or is this of the greater higher good of my doing? Like, because sometimes we don't always have control over what's in store, like our journey. And I could afford it. I did. I afforded for the entire year of 2022, in regards to when January 2022 started, and how business was flowing, or slightly flowing. We're out in New York anyway. Business started opening up more, and the fitness industry became a little different. And when it became a little different, I wasn't seeing as many people walking into my facility as what we call walk-ins, inquiring about my services. And that became alarming for me, because I was like, okay, it's 3 months, in the beginning of 2022, and it's like, okay, I don't have walk-ins anymore. Like, where are my walk-ins? And like, let's say putting out a banner outside my storefront, hoping that the people would, that would walk past, because prior to COVID, I had the train station right behind me, and on a given day, I would have anywhere between like 100 to 200 people walking past my store every day, because they go back and forth to work. And that changed. So walk-ins became very limited. And I had to become very creative to, like, okay, how am I going to bring or attract people in? Because even back then, I used to go to different events, different fairs, to promote what I did. And we weren't having those fairs neither. So it's like, well, how do I promote what I do?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay. And I would always say, when different challenges came upon, is like, okay, this is all I know. I don't know anything else. And because I am an empath and I can read energy, me working in a retail store would probably not be a really good idea.
You'll be taking in too much. But here's something, and you mentioned Abigail a little bit earlier, and I'm going to mention something that you wrote in the chat here, and it says the old business methods are no longer working. And I do think that, that's part of this is an opening to a new sense of self,
Yes.
and that includes business owners, entrepreneurs, influencers, founders, speakers, authors, etc. And what I mean by that is for so long, we talk about, getting back to the fundamentals, and that business needs a strong foundation, to lead to its success. And then we have this other sign of, you do readings, and you have Reiki, and you can do a body scan of someone, and, and to someone who's on the outside who may not understand this new convergence, they may think that is just foo-foo, cookieisms, and how can it work, and it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't work with my religious upbringing or experience. And I mean, there's so much out there that goes against it. But at the end of the day, and I really want to speak, and I'm really setting this up for purpose. At the end of the day, whether you're an entrepreneur or not an entrepreneur, whether you are a man or a woman, a kid or an adult, we are all vibrational. We are all energy. In the same way, a business needs to have a strong foundation. A business needs to have, an organizational culture and systems and processes, and have a great marketing plan, and have good people that are a part of it. They're all creating in that mix of business energy, to attract. And I think that one of the things that, that I have learned from you is for me to be in my best energy, the first place that you really help entrepreneurs and business owners is you get them grounded so they can be fundamental and have a foundation for self so they can achieve great things for their business. Speak to being grounded and why that is so fundamentally reasonable for you to work with entrepreneurs to help them achieve their unlimited success.
Yes. Yeah. Well, grounding.
So it was a big opening for you on that. I know.
Yes. Grounding is a big thing. I mean, when we talk about our chakra system, for those who are not aware of that language, the chakra system, it's basically the energy within, and we all have, whether you are aware of it or not, each chakra point is associated with a specific body part and, of course, organs. And as Robert says, getting grounded, that's the root chakra. It connects us to Mother Earth. It helps us to get grounded. It helps us to get balanced, balancing our mind, body, and spirit. Connecting the three, because they're not three separate things. It's along with our emotions as well. And every single day, depending on what's going on in our personal lives, is going to influence whether or not we are going to be able to focus in on what it is we're looking to attract for that day. Especially as entrepreneurs, anyone who has a business, energetically, you want to be aligning your energy to attract the clients that's going to come into your space, whether they come in virtually or physically, that's going to be ready to commit to you. Now,
Right.
Ideally, if we're not grounded and we're not focusing on being aligned to that right client, so to speak, and we're distracted on all the things that's going on around us that's not working, energetically, we are then going to attract clients that are not going to be aligned for what it is we're looking to have, because that's the energy we're putting out. They're a reflection of us. So ideally, it's so important first thing in the morning for anybody, but specifically entrepreneurs, because you want to do your business, is to ground your energy. Focus in, have what I call an intention to what you would like your day to look like. Like visualize like what that day is going to look like. Is it to the matter on how many clients or how many customers you want to have walk into your door to say yes? Because hey, you could have 10 people walking in your door, but if they're not saying yes, then there's just 10 people walking in your door. So it really is about focus on what it is you desire and take your focus off of what you're not looking to attract. And
You
that's
know,
go ahead.
and I got to jump in here a little bit. So, to make that, maybe a little bit more, let's say, practical for someone to absorb. What I'm going to say is, if I go into a meeting now, it really forces me to slow down, breathe, take an account of what it's going to look like, visualize it almost like a professional athlete before they go off a ski jump or before they make a dive into a pool, and actually be set in my own moment of a certain success, a certain outcome. And when I have that energy and I'm not scattered and I'm not thinking about, well, I got laundry to do at home, or I got to pick up my kid from school, or I have a report to do for one of my clients. It's almost like a micro meditation on the actual coming time frame of who or what I'm walking into. And I have to say, Joanne, it's made a profound difference in how I act and react and engage and collaborate and co-create anything that I had with anyone that I have, because all of a sudden I concentrate on them before I'm even with them. And that makes a profound difference in the way that they are attracted to me.
Exactly. And it's just like you said, if after here you have to go into a meeting, ideally it really is about redirecting your focus. Here it is for the last hour, you're interacting with myself and Abigail, and of course energetically you're interacting with everyone who's watching. Therefore, to realign your energy to prepare yourself for the next thing you're going to do, let's say 5 minutes before you're going to do it. So now you're focused on your next thing 5 minutes beforehand, realigning, regrounding, rebalancing, and focusing on that particular activity. Whereas again, when we connect with different people throughout the day, everyone has different energy. So if I, for example, when I'm working with clients, whether it's on site or virtually, I have to literally realign my energy for every person I'm going to come in contact with. And if there's a group, more so. Otherwise, I hold on to the energy that I was with my last client. And depending on what energy they had, may or may not be the best energy for me to walk into with my next group of people. So that
Right.
grounding is so important for us to focus on what it is we're looking to create. And grounding is easy, and I'm gonna actually give a tip, if you don't mind.
Yep, that's okay. We're almost over on the show. It goes by so quickly, but yes, go ahead. Let's take a tip.
Very quick tip that you could do to ground your energy, and it's an easy one. As long as you have access to water, and it could be a bottle of water, just take the water and drop a little bit on your hand, rub your hands together, and then just shadow your body with it. And that itself is going to cleanse and clear out. And when you're doing this, you're going to pull the energy downward and out. So you're like sweeping that energy out of you. And with the intention that you're literally clearing out the energies of what you were just in. And then focus that 2 minutes on where you're going, your intention to what you're doing next. And be intentional and be in the present. So whatever happened 5 minutes ago, that's done. Focus on what's happening now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that tip. Joanne, I have your information scrolling across. If you would like to meet, if you would like to reach out, you can certainly come through me or go to Reverend Joanne Angel, BarryColon. Personally, I have her information scrolling across from here. She is the owner of Wholistic Fitness, and she's a certified holistic with a W, personal trainer, intuitive healer, cosmic energy reader, and really so much more. And if you're in a business owner and you just feel lost, she might be the one that helps you break those barriers to break through, and so you can break out. Joanne, are there any other ways that our audience can get a hold of you?
I'm going to sort of copy Abigail because I'm personal. So my number is there. Feel free to call me. Send me a text if need be. If you feel that I'm not going to answer the phone, send me a text letting me know you're looking to speak with me, and I'll make the time to have a conversation.
Well, Joanne, thank you so much for being on the show with me today. I appreciate you so much. I look forward to us doing this again. And, I want to wish you a blessed holiday season.
You
And
too.
if I don't see you yet the remaining of the year, have a happy new year as well.
You too. Blessings to you, and thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you as well. Everyone, I was just with Reverend Joanne, Angel BarryColon. I mean, what a rock star. I love getting to interview her each and every time she's on the show. I just want to remind each and everyone that we are here from 2:30 to 3:30 every Thursday because we're in that maverick, state called Arizona. And so we don't believe in daylight savings time. But please bookmark this show. Come join us. Just reach out to me if you'd like to be on this show as well. So, we have all things to do, places to go, and not enough time to do them in. But I want to thank you for being with us today. Have a great week, everyone. Until I see you next Thursday.
You've been watching the Iron Entrepreneur Show, a production of the Iron Entrepreneur Radio Network with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.